welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Haley.
And my name is Demi, and today we are talking about how to get a good night's rest. Getting a good night's rest can really be a major key to success. It can also help physically, to relieve stress, anxiety. It can help you lose weight. It can help lower cortisone levels, among all kinds of other things that are beneficial to your health and well-being.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like good sleep is necessary for you to be at your optimal health, physically and mentally, in addition to, your manifestation. Your sleeping and your sleep routine, your nighttime routine can all be used to be geared towards your manifestation. So I think it is really important. And we're going to talk about things that we do for ourselves and things that we like to do to optimize our evenings and to get a good night's rest.
Absolutely. So I would like to start by saying that I used to really not be a morning person. Like, I would wake up and be like crabby, mad that it's morning. Like, my family would joke that they wouldn't talk to me in the morning. Like, I was like one of those people. And when I started becoming aware of the things that stopped me from getting a good night's sleep and started changing some of those habits, it allowed me to not only get better rest, but to be a happier person in general and to become a morning person, which is something I never thought I'd say.
Yeah, and something that has stuck with me that you said for our morning routine episode, which we did a few episodes back, to have a good morning routine is to establish a nighttime routine. And it's so true. They definitely kind of go hand in hand with one another. So for me, a nighttime routine kind of depends on the season. It often corresponds with the seasons, which, if you haven't listened to our episodes that align with each season, that might be helpful or a good place for you to start if you want to do that as well. But what I do in the summer versus what I'm doing in the winter is oftentimes different. I feel like in the summer, I'm a little bit more high energy, and I begin to slow down a lot later in the day in comparison to the winter. Here in Minnesota, we're ready for bed by like 6 p.m. in the winter. Universally, I feel like, because it gets dark really, really, really early. It's really cold. But yeah, I think that is something to keep in mind, is a nighttime routine is going to look different for everyone, and it can look different depending on the time of year as well.
Absolutely. I think what's most important is that you find what works for you and find something that you can be consistent with. So sometimes that might just be brushing your teeth and washing your face. If that's the only thing that you can make time for, it's certainly better than nothing. Showing yourself that self-care, that self-love is really great. But there are so many other things I think that we can bring to awareness that will help you get a good night's sleep. Some of them can be turned into routines, and others are just habits that you want to be aware of during the day that can change how you sleep. So number one, I think that people don't realize how much blue light affects them. Blue light comes from our cell phones, from our TVs, basically any technology with lights on them can actually make our brains, like, we can't relax them, right? So they say no blue light for at least 2 hours before you go to sleep will be a huge game changer if you are one of those people who likes to scroll. I really recommend reading books before bed. Reading books makes me so tired naturally, especially if I am reading by like candlelight or lowering the lights. I think that's a huge key too. Like, I can thank my mom for that. Like, she would be so mad if we had on bright lights at night at our house. It is nighttime, turn the lights down, But she would make it like dim and cozy, because naturally Mother Nature like has the sun go down at night, and we're meant to align our circadian rhythm with the sun and the moon, and we're supposed to be in darkness at night, and it allows our bodies and minds, our brains, to relax and go to sleep. So I think that's a huge thing. I know cell phones are so addicting, and so many people will be like, well, I need to sleep with it next to my bed. Like, I use it as an alarm. And we did talk about in the morning episode, like getting an alarm clock with natural light. Like, that can be so helpful to not have your phone next to you and not pick it up, right before bed or right in the morning. Just that one thing, I bet you will make you sleep way better. If you do have any trouble sleeping, that's a huge thing. As well as like drinking caffeine. I don't drink caffeine past 2 p.m. because even though it doesn't make me like wired, I will realize that at night my mind is kind of racing. Like I'm not as relaxed. I might feel like restless leg syndrome or something if I do drink caffeine later in the day. A lot of people are really addicted to energy drinks and whatnot these days, and that's a huge thing, as well as just drinking before bed in general. Like if you find that you have to wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, don't drink past like 6 p.m. And like then you can sleep through the night, and sleeping through the night makes such a massive difference as to opposed to when you're waking up, it takes you out of deep sleep. So
Yeah, I feel like all of those things have helped me as well and are things that I practice myself. I love creating a, dark, cozy environment a few hours prior to going to sleep. Again, that's harder to do in the summer when the sun's going down at 10 p.m. But, as we're going into these cooler, darker months, as we keep saying, creating that like cozy, quiet, calm atmosphere is so important. So lighting a fire, if you have that, if that's an option in your home, fireplace. I even like to play the like fireplace thing on TV, like
yeah,
on
I know,
Netflix
like
or
the
YouTube.
screensaver. Yeah, I know what you're talking
and
about.
it makes like the crackly fire noises. Like I love doing that. Candles are so amazing. They're cozy. You can even get ones that are run by batteries. So if you're worried about like forgetting them, or whatnot, you can get the ones that have batteries in them, and you can set them on a timer and they'll turn off on their own. But really allowing yourself to sync with the circadian rhythm. So, we talk about your nighttime and morning routine aligning with each other. In the morning, you should be getting in sunlight, waking up by sunlight, so that your brain recognizes that as it's morning, and you will be producing the right hormones, and your body will know towards the nighttime that it is time to release your melatonin. Your melatonin levels will start to regulate with the circadian rhythm. And once you develop a routine, and I recommend kind of having a similar routine each night, or start slowing down at a similar time, because then again your body can regulate to that, and it becomes normal for your body to respond and kind of be ready for bed when you are. So creating that routine and structure can help with a routine and helping regulate your body to match that. But yes, lights off, make it cozy, super important. Minimize cell phone time. I think it's really important to not allow yourself to be like looking at emails or work stuff or things that are going to kind of trigger a stressful response to you. Maybe that is social media, because I know that can be triggering to some people depending on the content that you're intaking, and scrolling on TikTok, you can take in news related things and stuff that can trigger a stress response in your body. And obviously you're not going to be able to relax and fall asleep when you're worrying about all these external things. So I would say like no work, no news, no social media past, whatever time you decide. But I think that is super important, as you said.
Mm-hmm. There were a couple of things you mentioned there too that I think are really important to note. One is that, so I've read studies that talk about your sleep schedule, right? And how high quality your sleep is, like what level of deep sleep that your body can get into. And they say that if you go to bed within the same hour every single night, and you're really meant to go to bed at the exact same time every single night, your body will regulate, and then you start to produce more serotonin, which also, side note, melatonin is a byproduct of serotonin. So I have to finish this thought too. This is a thought within a thought. Because melatonin is a byproduct of serotonin, when you take melatonin artificially, which yes, it's a natural thing that your body produces. Yes, I get it. But When you take melatonin artificially, your body will stop producing enough serotonin. If you do that habitually, especially if you give that to children whose brains are not fully developed, you can cause permanent depression within your child or yourself. So taking melatonin to make yourself tired is not all natural, it's not all healthy, and it will have negative side effects long term. I think that's something that people should be aware of. A lot of people are not aware of that. I've heard lots of people say, well, my doctor recommended it. And I don't know if your doctor didn't pay attention during biological psychology or what happened there, but be aware it does have negative side effects, and really negative side effects. Okay, we don't want to be permanently depressed. So if you can avoid taking melatonin on a regular basis, at least, I would definitely recommend that too. So if you do mess up your sleep schedule by more than an hour, I think it takes like a certain number of days to even get back on that schedule, and your body actually can't get into as deep a sleep if you do that. So it's really important that you do have that schedule and you do keep it around the same time every day. That will make a huge difference in the quality of sleep that you're getting. The other thing I wanted to mention too, while we're talking about like cell phones, like, yeah, one, what you're taking in can, cause negative reactions and just not allow your mind and body to relax. But the other thing is our cell phones emit EMFs, which can actually interrupt your sleep, and they actually make you less focused and more stressed out overall. So I have been sharing this information. We definitely mentioned it during our morning routine episode. And since that episode, one of our listeners was like, hey, I stopped sleeping with my phone in my room, and it made a massive difference. And they were like, I tested it out and brought my phone back into my room to see if that was really what was making the difference. And sure enough, I slept like crap. And I was like, yeah, it makes such a difference. I know that a lot of people are like, well, what if an emergency? And I really genuinely just have faith in my well-being. And I don't think that if I have my phone next to me, it's going to make a huge difference if an emergency situation were to happen. I don't expect that to happen. I do have my phone in my house, not far from my room, when I do sleep with it outside of my room. So, which, I'm human, we make mistakes, but I do recommend not sleeping with it in your room. It does make a massive difference, especially if you struggle to get good sleep. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
There's also those alarm clocks that like they do emit light, like the sunlight, and it slowly gets brighter. So it's almost, especially if you're in like a darker room, you don't have access to large windows or something in your bedroom, it'll like wake you up as if you're waking up with the sunlight.
Mm-hmm. I have one of those, and it is such a game changer. And the noises that it makes, instead of like that terrible iPhone alarm that we all hate, it's really much more relaxing. But it's loud enough that it does wake me up. I don't sleep through it. I know I've tried before, when I was still using my phone as an alarm clock, I had put like a relaxing sound and I would fall back asleep. So I have to say with the natural alarm, with the light, it really does help me wake up. And I wake up not so like angry. I think that iPhone alarm that we all know so well,
terrible.
I think it actually like has a stress response. It probably releases cortisol.
And then you start your day off like that.
Yeah.
And you're just going to repeat that like feeling all over, because that's how you're starting your day, the most precious moments of your day. Yeah, you definitely don't want to start your day off being grumpy, but you also don't want to fall asleep on a bad note either. I know a lot of people talk about like when you're in a relationship, don't go to sleep mad, but just not going to sleep mad in general will make such a big difference. So things that I like to do besides reading before bed are like journaling, and maybe like gratitude journaling is really nice. I love to ask my child before we go to bed, like, name 3 things that happened today that were really good, think about what we did today. I remember when I was little, my grandma, when I like couldn't sleep, she would say, well, just say your prayers and think about what we did today. And I would kind of play it in my head like a little movie, like what we did today, and it would help me fall asleep every time. I'd fall asleep right away. But those moments right before we fall asleep, our brain is in a more permeable state, and we can use that towards manifestation, as you said. So another great thing to do before bed is to think about all the things you want to do tomorrow, basically, or in the upcoming week, and to picture them, imagine them,
getting done, being accomplished, and how that feels. When you do that, you impress that emotion on your subconscious mind, and you're more likely to act out of that, which makes it way more likely that you are going to be productive and actually get those tasks done. It can be really so helpful. I used to think like, oh, I don't want to do that before bed because I'm like, what if it will stress me out thinking about what I need to do? But I find that imagining it being done is actually really relaxing.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I love, as far as journaling goes, at the end of the day, I like to, if there's anything like really bothering you or stuck in your mind, or things that you like are having trouble letting go of from your day, or worries of tomorrow, I find that getting that out on paper, no matter how messy, yucky it is, like getting it out on paper and closing your journal, putting it away, can really help like erase that from your mind or get it out of your mind so you're not so focused on it. It helps you relax. Similarly, in the shower, I like to imagine the water as it falls upon me, like washing away any worries or troubles of the day or the next day. Like imagine them swirling off and down the drain. It can be kind of therapeutic, and energetically, I think it's very effective. But then along with that, you know, if you're in a clear headspace, putting intentions out there, thinking about the following day, how you want it to go, thinking it working out better than you can imagine. I also love to kind of dream at this time, like jumpstart my dreams. If I'm laying in bed, I think about, you know, my wildest dreams, like how I would, what my biggest dreams are. Imagine myself doing that or being that, or even just like things that are a little more like fantasy, because that's kind of what I've been reading, and it's just fun to like use your imagination, like practice using your imagination, and it can be really fun and relaxing, and you'll drift off before you know it. And I think that maybe it will impact your dreams in a more positive manner too throughout the night, so you're dreaming about more positive things.
Which is wonderful to like recognize, because as I've said before, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between dreams, imagination, and reality. So when you are dreaming of stressful things, it's often a result of what's happening in your day-to-day life. But when you do kind of intentionally start your dreams off and impact what you might end up dreaming about, then you can often turn that around and be dreaming about like really wonderful, relaxing things. And then you're going to act out of that, because you're always acting out of those emotions, and dreams do cause you to have emotion.
Yes, it's true. I still remember the most like scary dreams that I've had since when I was a young kid. I remember very specifically like the more scary dreams, because I had such an emotional response to them at the time, and I can still, when I think about them, like kind of feel them in my body a little bit. But I think that shows how important like even your dreams can be like on your emotional state and your energy and stuff too. I also want to note like those key moments right before you drift off to sleep. Like if you're having a hard time falling asleep, I love to listen to like healing frequencies, or even just calming music that's just like really happy. A lot of times for me, it's like Celtic music or something like more like folky, classical music, just things that are more relaxing. Oftentimes things that don't have words, I feel like are a little more comforting for me, but I love to do that. And then along with that, you can do guided meditations for sleeping that will help you fall asleep. There's this app that's like dedicated to that. I think it's like Calm, maybe.
Yeah, Calm.
And there's this one, it was with the free version that I would listen to, and you were in the French countryside, like walking through a field of lavender. And I never got more than like 3 minutes into it, because I fell asleep every time. They would be like, and the gentleman's voice was like the most comforting, relaxing voice. And I don't know what the story is, because I never like get far enough in. It's like you start walking through the lavender field and you're sniffing the lavender, and then I'm out.
Okay, same. I've actually used that app as well, and I had the exact same experience. Like they have like these bedtime stories on there. I don't know what happened in any of them.
Yes.
Like, yes, within 2 minutes, I'm out. I don't know. I don't know what they put in those people's voices, but I'm out.
It's magic.
Yeah, so if you do have a hard time falling asleep, that's definitely worth checking out, I would say. And there are so many free things on YouTube for that as well. Also, to mention lavender, I know both of us love to have lavender all over our houses. I spray lavender bedtime spray on my bed all the time. It is really just calming, relaxing. It's lovely to go to sleep too.
Yeah, and aromatherapy is real, you know. So if you diffuse essential oils, like you can pick the ones that are more calming and have them and diffuse them at night. I obviously lavender is a good one. I know not everyone likes lavender, but I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know how not.
Once you get in the routine of doing that, like symbolize to your brain like this is bedtime, you know, because you get kind of used to that scent. You just kind of associate that with sleepy time. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally.
So it kind of can help develop a routine too with that. There's also crystals that can help with helping you relax and helping you sleep. So you can keep crystals near your bed or under your pillow or under your bed. There are some that can help with EMF frequencies. So things like shungite and a lot of the black crystals will help protect you from EMFs. So, I mean, that could be a good place to start too if you're not immediately ready to sleep without your phone by you. But there's howlite, which is really good to have next to your bed. Amethyst can be really good. It's relaxing and helpful with things like anxiety or stress, but it can also stimulate your intuition, which if you are in a calm state and you want to dream about like your future or things like that, it can be helpful, but it can also be distracting for some people. So keep that in mind. I really like celestite. I like blue lace agate. They're really nice to have next to your bed. So you can have crystals and they look cute next to your bed as decor. Rose quartz can be really good too if you want to feel a little bit more like nourished or cared for, because it's very much embodying love and self-love. And it can be good for, you know, if you have a partner to just kind of invite more of a safe, loving space, to set your bedroom as a safe, loving space, which that kind of leads me to setting a sleep schedule when you do have a partner, because for myself, like my partner and I don't have the same sleep schedule. So I feel like it could be difficult for some people if you're not on the same page as far as going to bed and, you know, the different routines and stuff. So we have kind of had to make compromises that work for both of us. I don't like to listen to any sort of like TV, any talking or anything before I go to bed, and I don't want a TV in my room. So where my partner's kind of the opposite. So we don't have a TV in our room, but you know, he does have a device that he can use to watch TV in our room if he needs to, but he has headphones in. And just making sure you're kind of setting boundaries as far as like what's important to you, what's important to them, and what you each need to have a nourishing bedtime routine, just so you're not getting like interrupted or disturbed when you're trying to sleep, because I think it is a really important time of day. And yeah,
I totally agree. That's such a good point too. And I know that so many people do have, you know, issues in that area too, is like not going to sleep at the same time. It can be difficult, but I think that it's definitely doable when you do enforce those boundaries. I'm terrible. I'm like, there's no way we're not doing that. Get out. But I wanted to say too, so you were talking about like in the shower, kind of like releasing that energy. I think of that the same way. Like I think water is cleansing both physically and emotionally. And I think it's a really great time of day before bed. If you want to take a quick shower or a bath before bed, then you're getting into bed cozy and clean. And it can be a really wonderful part of a routine for sure. I know for me, if I'm like having a more stressful day, or if it's like this time of year where it's getting cold and dark, I love taking a hot bath and listening to like classical music during it, or like sometimes I'll journal in the tub, but just like that relaxing time to kind of cleanse that energy from the day off of you can be so nice before bed. Definitely. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention as well. So obviously, like if you do wake up in the middle of the night because you need to go to the bathroom, then you probably don't want to drink tea right before bed. But I do love to have like lavender chamomile tea in the evening. There are lots of teas that are really good to have in the evening that are caffeine free and that will help relax you. And I think it's really nice, especially in the cold months, to have something nice and hot before you get settled in for the night.
I love that as well. There's also some mushrooms that are caffeine free, that are adaptogenic, that are supposed to help with sleeping too. So there's a lot of companies that offer good mixtures of mushrooms and stuff that can help you fall asleep too. So that's something that I've experimented with a little bit, but I for sure love to have coffee in the evening. Again, not caffeinated. But I just love setting like a cozy, cool, dark space. And so like the candles, the tea, the cozy tea, and like turning your thermostat down, or whatever time of the year is like a cool environment. It truly helps you sleep better. And honestly, like you can snuggle up more, you know, you're all cozy under blankets. Just really creating an environment that feels nourishing to you and calming. And you know, I think that's why we love lavender so much, because it truly does kind of generate a very calming sense, and it utilizes us. Like if we think about all of our sensories, all our senses, scent is one of them. You know, you're using taste when you drink tea, and whatever you're listening to, hopefully that's calming to the ears. Like thinking about that from your sensory perspectives as well, like accessing all of them.
Also, so I love doing skincare before bed. That is absolutely a part of my routine, and I really love when there's like lavender scented skincare. It's the best. Also, we mentioned in our What You Consume episode, we talked a lot about clothing materials. I find that I sleep much better in cotton sheets or linen sheets or with wool. The other synthetic fabrics can interrupt your sleep because they make you feel terrible and they embed themselves in your skin. And now that I have been sleeping in cotton sheets and I've changed my pajamas over to cotton and linen, even my boyfriend's like, what are you wearing if I wear a polyester thing? He's like, this is so uncomfortable, change. He wants the cotton sheets and the cotton clothes now too. And I'm like, yeah, it really makes such a difference to be more comfortable. And those materials do actually vibrate higher, so they make you feel better inside and out.
And and that plays off of your sensory of touch. The whole array of
all the senses. Yeah, because I mean that's, you know, how we're interpreting the external world. And when you interpret the world as a calm, relaxing place, it's much easier for your mind to relax. But when your body is not relaxing and, you know, you feel uncomfortable and you're looking at a phone screen and you're reacting to whatever you're reading, like it doesn't feel like a safe, calm, relaxing place to go to sleep.
And I think I like to think of my home as like a sacred, safe space. And what energy are you allowing into your house, you know? And obviously this can go for around bedtime or anytime, but like social media and the news and all these external sources, do you want to invite these energies into your home? Like this is your sacred space. Make it cute, make it cozy, make it you, because this is your space and you get to choose what you welcome into that space. So, you know, do you truly want the energy of this TikTok video or this news or whatever? Like, do you actually want that energetic frequency in your sacred temple? Because I don't.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Creating a nighttime routine also helps you regulate your nervous system. We've talked about it before. You know, a lot of us are working 9 to 5, or you may have a stressful job. Maybe you're maybe you love your life, but it's just kind of busy and chaotic, and it tends to trigger your nervous system if you're living from this like hectic mindset, or this, maybe you are just really stressed out. A way to help regulate that a little bit is to calm your nervous system, and having a nighttime routine really allows your nervous system to relax. It doesn't have to be in that fight or flight state. It doesn't have to, feel like it's on guard anymore. Like, it can truly relax. And then not only that, at that point, you are able to better connect with yourself, your intuition. And we've talked about it in multiple episodes, like connecting to your intuition helps you to live more in alignment. It helps you to manifest more of what you want, because you can learn what you want, what you want, who you are. And I think mastering being with yourself is one of the best things that you can do. And having a nighttime routine where you disconnect from the outside world and go within helps you to better do that.
Absolutely. I think that's such a good point too. I've had people, and I've also asked myself this question: how do you tell the difference between your intuition and your subconscious belief system? Because if you have had trauma, you're sometimes like, am I reacting out of this trauma, or am I reacting because it's my intuition telling me that something's wrong? And I think the best way to differentiate around that is to learn how to cope with stress and how to cope with those unhealthy reactions, and learn how to respond and learn how to navigate that. And that's a practice. It's not, oh, you do this one time and it's gone forever. It's you learn these skills. And when you are taking care of yourself and getting a good night's sleep and having, a morning routine and nighttime routine, then you begin to find that it's much easier to cope from day to day with little stressors, and that you can get through them much easier. Mm-hmm. And that you can then ask yourself, does this feel right for me? Did it feel bad simply because I was stressed out and I was lacking sleep? Or did it feel bad because it's wrong for me? Mm-hmm. And that it'll help you live a much more authentic and happier life. I really, truly believe that.
Absolutely. That also kind of brings me to the idea of a little bit more about consumption. We talked about, maybe starting to think about when you want to stop drinking water or tea or whatever, but also thinking about, when you're consuming alcohol and how often. When you're consuming alcohol before you go to bed, that also is going to lower melatonin levels. Of course, it kind of spikes right away. It makes you kind of sleepy. And then in the middle of the night, drops drastically, and that you're more likely to wake up in the middle of the night, and it can kind of disrupt your circadian rhythm and other hormones and things too. So obviously I don't think it's an issue to be doing that once in a while. You're going out with friends or whatever, but making sure that that's not a habit or something that you do routinely, because it's honestly kind of impossible to develop a good night's sleep or have a good night's sleep when you are consuming alcohol. Mm-hmm. And then also being mindful of when you are eating. It all depends on when you go to bed, but you should stop eating after a certain point, because if you're going to bed right after you eat, your digestion is going to kind of impact your sleep as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Those are great points. I don't think that people realize too, a lot of people will get home from a stressful day of work and they use alcohol to relax them. But alcohol is a depressant, and when you wake up after drinking, oftentimes you'll deal with stress and anxiety like tenfold. That starts during your sleep, so you don't get a restful night of sleep when you're drinking before bed or drinking to fall asleep, and it can become a really dangerous habit, definitely. You also had mentioned sleeping in the cold. I don't think that people realize like how life-changing that can be. It's actually really wonderful for your health. If you're trying to lose weight, sleeping in the cold can make a difference. It's just so much better for us. And it is cozy. I love it.
It is cozy. We can't go an episode without recommending yoga either. But
yeah, I was going to say that too. Bedtime yoga. Yes.
I do a lot of bedtime yoga, especially in the winter. During the summer, I'm usually waking up and, like I said, more high energy. I'm usually doing higher intensity yoga practices in the morning, but you can do more yoga in the morning and the night if you choose to, but yoga can be very relaxing to the nervous system, especially if you're doing yin practices, where you're holding specific poses for long periods of time, and it allows you to surrender to that and really truly relax your body, your muscles. A lot of times throughout the day, we can be very tensed up, especially if we're going through something stressful. So it helps you relax like every muscle in your body. And I also love to do any slower pace practice, but working with your hips, because we do store a lot of energy and emotions in our hips, especially the more like negative or traumatic emotions. So if we're able to work out some of those emotions, like in a pigeon pose or something, I find that you can release some stored emotions that will truly help you relax and surrender fully into your sleep. So yoga has been nourishing and healing for me, and some of my favorite practices are nighttime practices.
Yes, bedtime yoga. Can't preach it enough. Life-changing.
Sometimes I actually do it from bed too.
Yes. Okay, so I hadn't done bedtime yoga probably prior to the last like 2 years. I just didn't know it was the thing really, which is funny because it is so relaxing to do yin yoga. But I had like looked it up specifically one day and I was like, wow, this is so great. Like best thing I ever did. And then there was an episode, I don't know if I can call it an episode. There was a class I followed and they were like, if you're already in bed, and I was like, already in bed? I'm doing yoga. Like, what do you mean? And then by the end of it, I was like, I'm falling asleep on the yoga mat. Now I get it. And there's also yoga Nidra, which is like a meditation for your body basically. And I can't stay awake through a whole thing.
I know people do that in studios and I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you
I'd be sleeping. I'd be snoring
out and get yourself home after that? Like,
yeah. It is great if you do find that. One, if you're like sore in bed, like I know a lot of people will struggle with like sore necks and sore backs and, sleeping funny and waking up sore. But also if you're like stressed out and your mind is going and stuff, bedtime yoga, yoga nidra, life changing.
It's true. It's true.
I love to do all that like by candlelight with lavender spray too.
Yes. Yeah. I usually use like sage, but a lot of times I like to end the day by cleansing the energy, like especially if I've been out in the world. So I like to use sage or other alternatives to like smoke cleanse my body too. So a lot of times I'll do my smoke cleanse and then I'll do my practice, and it just, my brain kind of associates that scent with relaxation now too. So it does kind of stimulate that response in my body too. I'm like, like just release.
Yeah, most definitely. Me too. It's so nice when you create those practices. I think that a lot of people who maybe haven't like dabbled in the things that we talk about might say like, that sounds ridiculous, like I don't believe that or whatever, but there are so many reasons why it works, and one is because you make it a habit and because you associate those feelings and beliefs with those things. But two, sage and Palo Santo and a lot of the other alternatives have physical, like they're antibacterial, like they actually have physical benefits to them. So they are actually cleansing physically as well as emotionally, I believe.
I also do really value my skincare routine because you're offering that self-care moment, whether it's a bath, your skin routine, just letting yourself know that you care for yourself. It is a version of self-love that's really important to me, and it's been a routine that I will absolutely never skip.
Yeah.
I'll never skip my skincare routine.
Same.
I don't drink much. I don't like whatever, but the few times that I've gotten like drunk, I'll still come home and wash my face. I'll be puking and
Same.
washing my face. Like, I will not go to
Same.
sleep without it.
Same. I can't walk straight. I'm butt naked, but you bet I am doing my skincare routine.
I'm not going to bed unmoisturized without my face washed.
Don't do it. There's actually a book that I think it's called Wash Your Face, Girl. But seriously, wash your face, girl.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that about covers it. We'll finish our episode off with a tarot pull. We would love to hear what you guys love to do before bed, what makes you feel cozy, comfy, nourished. And
let us know if you try any of these things or if you have a routine yourself. If it helps you, we'd love to hear feedback. I also say make your bed. Like, having a cozy, clean made bed to get into is so nice and definitely a part of self-care and self-love, I'd say, as well.
Like washing your bedding regularly.
Yeah, definitely washing your bedding regular. I feel like people don't always do that, which it's okay. So we've got Knight of Wands and Nine of Wands. So the first one is a knight riding a horse with pyramids in the back. If you are watching the video, we're a little further away today, but the Nine of Wands has 5 wands standing up, and it's a woman with sand dunes / pyramids in the back.
Yes. So this is from the Moon Witch Tarot deck, one of our favorites. Typically we only do one card, but these both really jumped out at us, so I'll read them both. The Knight of Wands represents action, energy, taking risks, adventure, excitement, and enthusiasm. Knights are explorers and messengers. They are adventurous and confident. They have incredible abilities and a vivid imagination that helps them achieve their wildest dreams. Knight of Wands is leaving ancient wisdom, represented by pyramids, in search of new knowledge and adventure. That is very Sagittarius of them. When Knight of Wands appears in a reading, it signifies good changes that are coming your way, both external and internal. Knight of Wands serves as a reminder that in search of truth, we might fail or take unreasonable risks. However, the Knight does not waste time on regrets or self-pity. She picks up and starts something new, embarking on a different journey. Optimism and enthusiasm are always her most loyal companions. Knight of Wands may also represent a real person in your life, someone adventurous, loving, loyal, fun to be around, a daredevil at times, sporty and generous. It may also mean that you need to develop these qualities in yourself. The reverse meaning represents delays of all sorts. Perhaps you are getting impatient or angry that you are not conquering your goals with the speed you had originally envisioned. It can also suggest that you are taking risky actions, and you might regret them later. Give yourself some time to think before making an important decision. So while I search for the next one here, allow yourself time to think about that or journal about what that might mean for you. I also have the Nine of Wands here, which represents inner strength, determination, courage, wisdom through experience, strength, hope, success, and recovery. Upright, this card depicts a witch standing firm. She is courageous and determined. She defends her territory. Nine of Wands represents your inner strength and serves as a reminder that you have the power to overcome any challenge and achieve your wildest dreams. No matter how difficult or long your path may look, you have what it takes. Nine of Wands encourages you to keep pushing. You are so close to the finish line. You gained so much wisdom through your past experiences. You're not afraid of the fight because you know you always come out of it stronger. Reversed, this card can indicate times of exhaustion, lack of energy, or unexpected obstacles. It could also indicate an unwillingness to learn from your past experiences. If you're fighting a losing battle, the only way to win is to map out a new course of action. It makes sense, but I feel like these both have similar meanings, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important. They're very much like yang energy. even though we are transitioning into more a yin part of the year, but kind of reminds us to stay determined and have the courage to push yourself through and not give up on your dreams. And
I like how that last one kind of mentioned too, that like the reverse meaning was that like you might be tired, you know, you might be tired and stressed out. And I think it's so important to keep that consistency and routine in order to keep on going. And I think that those little steps are what leads to success. Like it might seem like whatever you want is far away, and it might seem like a giant step, but each little step will lead you there. Like each day will get you closer. So yeah, definitely don't give up, you know, and utilize the time that you do have.
Yeah. And the point about, you know, you always come out of it stronger. We're still here. We're still living, doing our thing, you know. You haven't died. What's the worst that could happen, you know? Like, you're here. You've always made it out. You've always overcome whatever it is. You're so strong, and you always will make it to the other side. So just knowing that there is always that balance, the waves, everything comes and goes, but you always come out of it. You always come out of it stronger for the purpose of expansion. And, you know,
it literally always works out.
Yeah. Having faith in yourself and in the journey and in source, whatever, just having that trust and faith is always important.
Absolutely. We do always get better. It does always get better. Even in the moments that it seems like struggle, like you said, we definitely always expand from that. 100%.
Yes. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever viewing platform that you're on. We would love if you would review our podcast and have that energy exchange from us. We would love to hear what you're thinking, how you feel about the podcast, how you feel about this episode. We want to hear it all. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for helping raise the frequency. I just saw this meme today, and it was like, what do you do for a living? And the response was like, I raise the frequency of the world or something, or I'm raising the vibration of Earth. And I'm like, yep.
That's what we do.
Thank you for joining us in that and being such a guiding light in the world and helping truly raise the frequency of the world and those around you. So with that, we'll see you next week on our next episode.
Bye.
Bye.